Hello everybody, longtime viewers and newcomers to the KCM. Welcome to 2026. We're here for week number 1 at the beginning of the first season of this beautiful new year. We've got a great lineup. Royal, Sharp, Rush, Best, Snow Mini, Soma, Queen, and Action. And if you saw the thumbnail, Protoss is getting a huge vote of confidence from the fans today. Over 50% win rate was gifted to them by vote. I think it was Zerg at like 30% if I remember correctly, and Terran coming in at a measly, what, 5%? Below 10% is what I can remember anyway.
Well, I think it's well-deserved. Protoss lineup about as strong as it can get. I don't think you can really replace any of these players and make it any better. Best Snow Mini, like the absolute dream team, I would say, for the Protoss squad. Royal Sharp Rush is pretty strong, but maybe not quite as good as, like, yeah, the Protoss lineup. And then you also got Soma on the Zerg squad, who could do a lot of carrying as well. So I think those percentages are fairly reasonable.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is about as good as it gets, but I just want to remind you guys that these players, they do have lives. They're real people. Some of them have kids. And so when there's a week where, you know, not the best lineup comes out, I see a lot of people complaining about, you know, why didn't they play this player? Why didn't they play that player? It's down to, you know, scheduling and stuff like that. People have different things going on in their lives, and not everything revolves around the KCM and Starcraft. So just keep that in mind and try to enjoy the best you can the lineups that are given to us, because it's kind of out of our hands, and it's out of the hands of KCM as well.
Yeah, I mean, these guys play more than I cast, and I have to say no to some casting opportunities because there's too much overlap. You know, like, you can only do one cast on that evening. And so you kind of pick and choose between, like, tournaments and leagues, and these players are sometimes doing the same and having to pick and choose between, you know, family time and scheduled things they want to do. So it's totally understandable that they can't do everything.
For sure. And we're lucky to get pretty strong lineups just about every week in KCM. This is a long storied tradition doing the race battle. It's a very unique format. Each team consists of 3 players of their respective race, and they swap back and forth, kind of a winners league format, King of the Hill format. And so if it's your first time here, you're going to see first Terran versus Protoss, and then whoever wins is going to be going up against Zerg next. And single elimination until we get to the end and find out who the winner is. Obviously, Zerg has a bit of an advantage here in this first week, but they swap back and forth for who goes first and who gets that 3rd spot during the season. So, opening up here, we've got Best, cross map, throwing down that Nexus, and we're still playing on Metropolis, so I guess we haven't gotten the new map pool here just yet, which was the question I had in my head.
Right, yeah, and I think this is just a standard factory timing from Sharp. I don't think that was 11 gas like he sometimes does elect to do so he has the opportunity to punish 12 Nexus and what have you. I think this is a much more traditional timing. Ooh, doesn't quite pick up the probe kill there, unfortunately. But going to be getting some scouting information himself. Best did take a reasonably fast Nexus this time around, though. So I would say Best is in a pretty good position. The one thing going for Sharp is he didn't get unlucky and spawn in the bottom right. Like, Metropolis is quite an asymmetrical map in terms of who's stronger based on what positions. Like, you don't want to have to expand towards the Protoss as a Terran. So these spawns are actually pretty good from Sharp, despite, you know, not liking cross map against Protoss, generally speaking.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why Metropolis may be going out of the map pool this season. It's pretty hard to play in certain positions, in certain matchups. It's not necessarily the base that's difficult to deal with. All the bases are reasonably equal, but the positioning in terms of where your opponent is relative to yourself can be pretty painful at times. Like you said, if you have to expand as the Terran towards the Protoss, it becomes really cumbersome and difficult, and so this map will be rotated out, and we may be getting those new maps sometime during this season, but I'm not sure if it'll be rotated in or not.
Yeah, I hope we do get the new map pool soon. It'd be nice to keep things fresh. By the way, guys, full disclosure, apologies if I ever make any silly mistakes during this cast. I've had like 2 or 3 hours sleep and my throat's a little sore as well, but I'm just gonna soldier through it. Just wanted to point that out to you guys.
Yeah, that's something I should have mentioned as well, that we are also human beings. We make mistakes, much like the players too, so not to get too down on us here in the comments if you're not seeing the absolute best performance or if there's mistakes that you notice. We love to hear from you guys in the comments, but keep it civil. And we really appreciate that. Best. Pushing back this little probing push from Sharp. He sees the number of Dragoons here. He doesn't want any of it. Just gonna let these mines sit and gather information while Best gets into his observatory and plays a bit on the safe side.
Yeah, this is a 3-gate observer from Best as well. This is like as cookie cutter and safe that you can play as Protoss. It's going to slightly delay his 3rd base timing, but there's pretty much nothing Sharp could do to really surprise or punish Best equally. So I imagine Sharp won't try to get a lot done with like a 3-tank move out or something, seeing how late this 3rd Nexus is. I imagine he's going to be a little bit more on the defensive side of things. He could do a 7-tank push, but anything like a really early timing, like a 3-tank or maybe even a 5-tank, is just going to be a bit out of the question for him. He's going to play a lot more reserved.
Yeah, and the way that Sharp tends to play, he's not really a very reserved player. Like, he likes to get up there in your face, and in fact, he's going to slip a Vulture by here into the natural, get a few kills. It seems like he's delayed his siege mode quite a bit, and Best may be able to take huge advantage of that. Kills a tank already, and now there's no mines here to kind of block. He's going to try to get up this ramp. This is a nice block with the Marines, preventing the Dragoons from running forward, and now that siege mode is done, he's safe, but that was a bit risky here. Oh, he's going to jump on one more tank. Can he get it? 2 volleys it down, only at the loss of 1 single Dragoon. Really nicely played by Best, and Sharp takes a bit of punishment here early. Oh, he can get this tank potentially too. That tank on the left-hand side can't hit here. Oh, it's pretty greedy. There's a lot of missed shots happening right now. He does get the tank, though.
Wow, yeah, I mean, that was well-calculated greed from Best. He identified, okay, there's 2 tanks up here on the high ground. One of them's not sieged, though, so I might just barely have enough DPS output with the miss chance to still pick it up and take minimal losses, and he did manage to achieve that. He's done a really good job of thinning out the tank count of Sharp as a result. He's got a massive probe transfer over to this 3rd base. He's probably been on non-stop probe production this entire time. Sharp's not going to be feeling good about this. He's probably going to consider going 6 factory and do a big, massive all-in push. Or he can do something a little bit more middle of the road, go into 5 factory into 3rd base. Those are like his 2 main options now.
Yeah, going any less than 5 factory, you're really risking getting busted by Best at this point. You've lost tanks, you've lost some of these early game units, and Best is powering up like crazy. He is the premier 3rd busting Protoss. Like, he will smash through you if you're not perfectly set up. And so Sharp, he's got to be weighing his options here. He's already got tanks out in the front, thinking about starting to spread here and throw down extra turrets. 2 Goliaths pop out at a perfect timing here, just in time to deny this shuttle. Luckily, Best not going to commit with that, so keeping that alive here to rotate over to the 3rd and make life a little bit annoying here for Sharp while he tries to take that base.
Yeah, honestly, Best has played this game almost to perfection against Sharp. He knows the style of Sharp, his strengths and weaknesses, and I think that's one of the reasons why he went 3-gate obs despite being cross-map. He was like, okay, I just need to do everything to shut down any potential Vulture aggression. He even did a good probe surround on the Vulture that slipped into the natural because Sharp was distracted microing in the natural against the bust timing of Best. So this has really worked out well for the Protoss squad to start the week. And honestly, like, we had such a good season for Protoss in the previous season of KCM, and I'm hoping they have have another really strong season.
Well, a strong best is what they need to reach greater heights here in the KCM. He was kind of the clincher in the last season, able to take big wins and kind of drive it home, bring it home for the Protoss squad in kind of magnificent fashion, as is kind of normal for Best. Like, it's never, you know, just a clean win and just an easy closer for Best. It's always got to be as epic as possible, and we love him for it.
Yeah, he's like got almost main character syndrome. He creates the most chaotic games and sets himself up for crazy comebacks. This is a pretty nice move. A brilliant block with that gateway, denying vultures slipping in. Best is handling this pretty well. The vultures do manage to translate that to some probe damage at the third base, though, so Sharp still finding something. It's not the best compensation, but anything is going to help him out here against Best after taking an early deficit with losing those tanks. There's also giving a lot of space to Sharp to think about pushing up. He got a lot of damage onto one of those Reavers already. It's going to be a little bit tougher for Best to slow this down. If Sharp can get into a nice fortified pocket towards the left of this third base, there will be some pressure on Best that won't be so easily surmounted.
Yeah, this is a nice setup. Sharp is spreading his tanks really well, but he suddenly unsieges and turns around, starts to head back home. Looks like he wants to grab a third base. He's identified that Best is gearing up to bust this push and has not secured a fourth base for himself. So if Sharp can fall back here, set up a bunch of mines, and get up on that high ground, hold that third base down, he could end up being in a pretty decent spot. But Best already has units on this high ground. He's going to be reinforcing that soon.
Yeah, I think Sharp scanned the army of Best and saw that leg enhancements had just finished and how many zealots there were, and was like, okay, I'm probably going to die if I stay here. It's best just to pull back home, take this third base, and fortify there. So many zealots streaming in, and Sharp not quite set up. That's a pretty beautiful mine connection on that pack of zealots, though, to help thin them out and make the lower count of vultures able to bat this attack away without much effort exerted. This is really well done from Sharp. He's actually kind of evened up the supplies during all of this as well. Best throwing away his lead a little bit with that attack.
Gonna try and get some zealot bombs here, but a really nice unsiege from Sharp, dealing with that no problem. Yeah, I like what you said earlier about him, about Best playing the player when he was thinking about how to engage with Sharp, but I think that Sharp is doing maybe even a better job here. He just looked exactly what Best was up to and realized that the position was untenable, turned around at the perfect moment. This is a great game from Sharp. He's really showing his class here today.
Yeah, he's playing a more traditional style of TVP, but he's hanging on. He's actually got a little bit of low SCV saturation than natural, maybe having a bit of difficulty getting his mineral smoothing completely perfect and distributing the right amount of SCVs to each mineral line. But yeah, so far he's doing a pretty good job. The supplies certainly reflect that. You can't always depend on supplies to know the position of a game, but in this case it does seem to indicate that, you know, he's hanging on against Best and maybe even a slight lead right now. Best will have to get a fourth base up. He's just plonking that down now, but it's not in the best of positions. Like, Sharp can easily just attack on a quick horizontal axis, so put a lot of pressure onto that fourth base while not really that overextended from defending his own third. So I would say these positions are actually really good for Sharp right now.
This fourth is very late. Best not going to be mining off that until about 14 minutes 30, somewhere in there. So Sharp is going to have plenty of time to quickly reach a max out before that can even start mining. And Best is actually just slightly ahead in supply here. He's going to have to rely heavily on these Reavers. If they end up getting picked off really quickly, and I think Sharp's going to go for it right now. He's going to try and dive on this. Can he get the shuttle? Going after it here. Not able to get the shuttle, but You can see the mindset here is I got to get rid of this shuttle so I can enable this massive push that's about to come out.
Yeah, like the only thing that's really stopping Sharp from coming out is the possible slowdown with those Reavers just picking apart the Goliaths and tanks little by little. And even if somehow he did come into a direct engagement with Best, Sharp could actually still win the fight. He's got enough of an army now. Granted, it's only 1-1 upgrades for quite some time. The science facility is just now building, about halfway done. So the +2 weapons is a long way off, but honestly, having this much muscle and this much meat on the bone, it's a little bit tough for Best to have to chew through. So I think even if he doesn't clear out those shuttles before moving out, he has a chance. Best is just now getting his Temple Attack online, just researching Storm. There's a window where Sharp could start to move out now and potentially punish Best before he's got lots of High Templars and lots of Storm to utilize.
Here it is. He's just going to get rid of that shuttle. Could take out the Reaver as well. Only going to lose a couple of Goliaths. Very nice move there when he realizes that the Dragoons are a little bit out of range. Going to lose the Reaver as well now. Does get one last shot. Triple kill on the Goliaths is kind of funny. But now that the shuttle is gone, it's not as big of a deal. We've still got shuttles in the air, but they're mostly for Zealots. Is it time to move? He's maxed. Sharp is ready, and there's no Storm just yet. This is probably going to be his best chance for a timing.
Yeah, he's got like maybe 30 seconds to a minute before Best can start churning out plenty of High Templars and start storming the Terran position into oblivion. And another feature about this map is it's really hard for Terran to get a 4th base online. Very often they'll have to take the center of the map, so Sharp kind of needs to make a lot of headway soon, and Best is kind of hoping to find him out of position. As he comes towards this center, Best is going to set up 2 flanks and maybe probe one of them for weakness, while he's also securing a space here in the bottom right and setting up another rally point to boot, and going to be taking the natural expansion down there. So he's trying to race ahead up to 6 bases even before Sharp can take his 4th. Beautiful scan though. He's looking to maybe snipe some High Templars with Vultures at the rally point. Best intercepting though with plenty of Dragoons to thwart that effort.
Yeah, throwing away this many Vultures is a little bit rough right before the push, but it's kind of invaluable to get Best out of position, at least force the Dragoons and the rest of the army to chase this around so that he can move a little bit less hindered here. He can start to move the tanks forward and not worry about the army just suddenly diving upon him. So he gets a little bit of that information. He actually hasn't moved much with that. He's only inched forward just a little bit further. He's got so many tanks here. It's pretty much max. You can see he dropped like 20 supply of Vultures there a moment ago. Maybe going to replace some of that with tanks, and the tank count is ridiculous. I don't know. I feel like he's actually not going to push now, just slowly moving forward and waiting for that +2 while trying to take this 4th base.
Yeah, he's probably just going to look for center control while waiting for those upgrades to come online at this point in the game. But that's kind of what Best wants. He's actually thinking about collapsing onto this tank position now. He's not got that many units, but maybe enough to clear out the majority of these tanks on the periphery. He has killed quite a few already, but will have to pull back as soon as he kills that first line of tanks, and he is doing so. But he's gonna kill this command center in the center critically. That's gonna really slow Sharp down. Best is just playing keep away right now while racing ahead on 6 bases worth of economy.
Yeah, it's not generally the way Best likes to play. He's much more of a I'm gonna smash you rather than playing that sort of keep away game that we see from Snow so often. But the situation demands it here. Sharp is being so careful, he's being so slow to push forward that diving in would be a bit of a death sentence, and Best is buying time for these additional bases to come online. That additional rally point in the bottom right is so crucial so that he can remax faster than the Terran player, and he's only got 2 gateways here for now, so he's really got to buy that time.
Yeah, Best has really been playing Sharp rather than playing his usual PvT game. He's identified what he needs to do in the early game to get ahead, and now what he needs to do to capitalize on Sharp playing a bit more of a conservative style. And it's paying off in a big way, but Sharp gradually going to be replacing that CC, taking the center again. He's going to have to look for an attack sometime soon, though. The fact that he's been so delayed as soon as that +2 is about to come online, he may pull the trigger on finding an engagement, because he's kind of desperate to get going. The longer he takes, the more Best is going to consolidate his position and his lead.
There's so many tanks kind of out of range of this army, and Sharp's still slowly pushing forward here by leaps and bounds. Army making its way over to the top left and clearing these mines. Now Best is going to start to establish a second quadrant of the map in the top left hand corner. I guess a third quadrant if you consider his main base as well. But with that extra quadrant being taken, there's really no options here. Sharp has to make a move. You cannot allow the Protoss player to have this much of the map. Even if you have that center control and center left, it's just too much to allow this to happen. So Sharp, he's going to start to move over to this right-hand side, challenge the army, and then he can start to split things off in different directions once he's got middle control.
Ooh, he's doing a pretty good job of trading with Storms. Does lose a couple of High Templars for it, but yeah, having a third rally point is basically a win condition for Protoss. The one thing going for Sharp is that the longer the game goes on, the more the upgrades even out for him, and he'll take a lead. Right now, it's 3 weapons, 2 armor for Best versus just 2-1 for Sharp, which is very Protoss favorite. Obviously 3-3 Terran's better than 3-3 Protoss, so later on in the game Sharp will find better trades, but he hasn't got that time. Like, Best is already seizing a win condition. It's almost like building a world wonder in Age of Empires or something. Like, you have to do something about it. You can't just sit back and let the Protoss do what they want to do in these situations. He's going to have to attack, maybe on this vertical axis, and start stopping these bases from going online. It does seem like he wants to do that, kind of cut off the path to this top left and deny at least this rally point going up.
Well, that's good. I mean, he's stretched out so far into the middle. It's really hard for this army of Best in bottom right to go all the way around it and up to the top left to defend. He's going to try to do that right now, but you can see that there are just so many opportunities to get caught by mines, for tanks to get little pot shots at the army and stuff. It's just very difficult to go all the way around this, so he can't really defend top left, and I think Sharp will break off a few small groups of units to go over towards that top left, try to shut that down. Sharp is being so meticulous. It's really out of character for him to be this slow and methodical, but I'm really liking the switch up here from Sharp.
Yeah, he's just used that space to now take the 9 o'clock base. I think he's hesitating to attack top left. He's thinking maybe I can hit 12 o'clock instead, because it kind of maintains the contain line towards the center of the map. He wants to kind of split the map in half on that vertical axis from the center, rather than splitting off units to the top left. This might be a better option. It's more defensive. He is also engaging in the southeast quadrant here. Best doing some pretty brilliant Sonic Storms, though, thinning out the Terran units. But Sharp overall is trading way ahead of Best. Best might have gotten a little bit complacent in this game and kind of underestimated the position, because now +3 weapons are online for Sharp, and he's going to be trading better and better now.
Little zealot drop over here, gonna clear this small contingent meant to kill the base. The Nexus up at 12 o'clock. That Nexus is just about out of value anyway, as the mineral patches are getting very, very low. But Sharp's still pushing towards that location, because this is the choke point. This is the cutoff for Best moving around the top side of the map. If he can control this area, then he really cuts off maneuverability for Best at getting over to the top left or getting down to the bottom right from either direction. Now, 4 shuttles going around the top side. This could be a real problem for Sharp, because that fresh base at center left, this one on screen now, is super vulnerable and undefended. Now going to lose some of these SCVs, but Sharp still just focused on the goal here. Killing off this base is his first priority.
Yeah, I did a preemptive evacuation order at the 9 o'clock, so you didn't lose too many SCVs. Best doing a reasonable job of sandbagging the attempts of eliminating this base at the 12 o'clock. Best doesn't really mind losing that as long as he can hold on to it for another minute or two. It's almost mined out of minerals anyway. He just wants to find an opportunity to keep trading with Sharp and slow him down as much as possible. so these rally points in the bottom right and top left can come online more. He's going to build high Templars at both locations so he can keep storming from the high ground and slow Sharp down as much as possible. And that drop at the 9 o'clock was the key move right now, because there's not a lot of mining coming in for Sharp. As soon as 6 o'clock dries up, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. So there's a secondary win condition for Best now, where he just limits Sharp being able to have too many bases online at a time. Sharp is trying to leapfrog that curve and is going to expand towards the natural in the top left before he's even successfully killed this base. This is actually quite a brilliant move here from Sharp. 9 o'clock's quite difficult to take and defend, but this top left base makes a lot of sense.
Killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Getting this base online solves both problems at the same time, but there's just going to be so much annoyance coming here from Best. He's going to be making DTs. He's going to be making high Templars on the high ground, throwing down constant storms. I don't see any science vessel over here either, so that's quite a problem. You really would like to have a science vessel with this push. It just makes it so much easier to deal with that constant DT action. Looks like he will close in on this base, though, unless 4 shuttles might be the difference maker. Can he actually get some great mine drags here to clear this army? It doesn't look like it. Most of the zealots will be cleared, and the army still remains strong here for Sharp, busting up into this main base and taking care of this area. If he manages to hold top left, then it becomes a huge problem for Best.
Yeah, there is some DTs popping out, but now there's a science vessel here to make cleanup on aisle 5. Just that little bit more efficient now for Sharp. He's going to do a good job of clearing out that base finally. Best is going to have to mobilize on the ground towards the northern hemisphere. He's got some shuttles actually moving over to that top left quadrant to try and see if he can get some more zealot bombs on that tank line and what have you. He's trying to thin out these tanks before he gets reinforcements up here. It's not a bad option, but he's still basically playing a game of keep away with Sharp right now. He can't really engage the main battle line in the center without taking heavy losses, although he is flooding so many zealots out of these gateways. He might be thinking this is the time to do it when Sharp's a little bit out of position. He's going to go for it now. He's got some Archons mixed in, not that many Dragoons, predominantly just Zealots and Storm. Going to be doing a lot of heavy lifting, getting the blankets on these tanks in some 3-for-1, 2-for-1 deals, and he is doing a fantastic job of clearing out the majority of those tanks. Now Sharp in a little bit of trouble with this center base exposed.
Yeah, these SCVs are so incredibly stacked up. It's like a fastest map mineral patch here in the middle of the map. So he's really taking a lot of damage. A lot of SCVs just went down. Some of them did manage to transfer to top left, but without center control, that top left base is kind of dead in the water. You have to be able to hold the middle so that you can continuously reinforce that top left. And if Best keeps killing off this army here in the middle, I don't think there's much hope left here for Sharp, despite making a great push into that top left area.
Yeah, this was a very valiant effort here from Sharp, but Best is just so good. He's always able to find those niche win conditions, even though Sharp played a good game here, and he was kind of not playing his forte either. He was kind of adapting his style to better deal with Best, but Best also did exactly that and is coming out on top. He's killing so many of these tanks that are exposed right now. He's never going to get to a critical mass again. He's in so much trouble. He can't afford to defend that base in the top left and get all of his army mustered in one place at the same time, which is making it easier for Best to clean up the army of Sharp. And he's racing ahead in supply now. 170 to just 100 for Sharp. This game is about to be over for our Terran player.
I'm a little sad to see it. GG, there it is. A really nice attempt here from Sharp, but Best is too good at macro, just keeping ahead there and overwhelming in the center at the very end. GG. Let's jump into our next match, PVZ, coming right up. I said I was a little bit sad to see it because Sharp seems to be growing. He seems to be learning a new style. I wonder who he's been practicing with. Maybe taking some pointers from Light or something. That game kind of reminded me of like a Light game, honestly. The way that he was moving maybe needed to speed things up a little bit, but that, of course, comes with practice. And we might be seeing, you know, some new things from Sharp this season, ASL and KCM as well.
Yeah, would like to see it. This time now, got Action versus Best. Action hasn't been performing to his strengths in the past. He's actually going for a Nexus, a hatchery first, and he probably might get away with it because not only is this a gateway first from Best, so he can't be cannon rushed, but also cross map. One of the best case scenarios for Action going forward here. And yeah, I'm a big fan of Action, even though he's not been playing great lately. I'm of the belief that, you know, what makes you a fan is that you support them during their ups and their downs, especially their downs. I think that's what makes a true fan. So I'm really hopeful that Action can turn it around and show us some more great games now and in the future. Best's going to be a good contender for him. Best is really solid in PvZ these days, and he's basically the PvZ comeback king to boot.
Yeah, I'd love to see Best versus Action in a late game PvZ situation. We've talked about it a lot, how powerful Action is once he gets into Hive Tech. His Defiler control is nearly unmatched. And he hasn't been showing off the greatest games lately, as you said, but I'm sure that he's still able to macro at a very, very high level, and that would be a lot of fun to watch. He's got to make it through. Pretty difficult early game, though, as Best is great at punishing with Zealots and finding little edges in the early game that lead up to a big 2-base push later on.
Yeah, and what makes Action so special is, despite being such a strong, economically centric player, he's the most aggressive macro Zerg. So he usually has very interesting games when he is playing his usual macro style, and that's something that can really challenge the limits of Best, who usually just falls back on a bit more of a passive style, just trying to macro up crazy amounts of units in that mid-game timing and trying to overwhelm the Zerg and find points of weakness. I think Action could be a worthy contender for him going forward. Trying to distract Action right now with his first Zealot and Probe towards the natural location, and he's got 2 more Zealots making his way towards the 3rd base. There is an Overlord to spot for that, though.
Ooh, this is a really good trade for Best. Action not targeting down the Probe initially, and Best kind of sensing that, moving his Zealot and Probe in the right direction there, forcing the Lings to keep repositioning, and now he's got the Probe here for the full scout. He's seeing exactly how many Lings are being made and covering for this Zealot, which is doing a lot of damage to this 3rd base, setting himself up for a potential base kill a little bit later on. This is going to be brought below half HP, and so it's a bit unfortunate for Action. He'll have to clear these up, probably behind the mineral patches as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty well handled from Action, but needs to be careful. He can only utilize the HP of the hatchery as a resource for so long. This is about the limit. You don't really want to let the hatchery get much below 400 HP. It's much easier to snipe later on. But it does give you some valuable time to pull more Lings for a more valuable trade. And he's going to have to make the decision now, because there's 2 more Zealots about to hit his natural expansion. Only 4 Lings there, so he's going to have to cycle some Lings back to defend from that 3rd base location, but needs to leave enough at that 3rd base to potentially deal with those Zealots coming out again.
Yeah, he's trying to split things up. It looks like he only sent 2 Lings over here. It's not enough. And drones are popping out in the main as well. Best is avoiding the mineral line because he knows that probably he'd want to pull drones to deal with this. Really good control from Best, taking a really nice trade here as the cleanup is being handled by Action. And this is the early game advantage, as I was talking about before, where Best is just so good with the little trickle of Zealots and the Probe supporting that he puts himself into such a great spot to initiate a super strong 2-base push later on.
Yeah, this has gone really well for Best. Action is cleaning up those Zealots now on both fronts, but I would say the damage has been done. He's forced so many. He's actually still got a Zealot in the natural expansion. If he could catch a drone, that would be huge, but even just forcing a little bit of lost mining time and kind of taxing the APM of action a little bit here, making sure he's not being super optimal with his transition into his full macro mode. This is great damage from Best, and Corsair's already making his way across the map to identify exactly what the follow-up will be from action, how quickly he takes that second gas. He's actually already throwing down the Hydra Den before taking that second gas. This will be good information to Best to identify what's the likelihood of some cross-tech. Is he going to make, you know, Mutalisks, like an Ogre Zerg style, or is it going to be more Hydra? He needs to be careful not to lose that Corsair in the process, though. He actually hasn't checked the main base with that Corsair critically, so he doesn't know about this slightly early Hydra Den. So he might be thinking this is a more traditional style from action, but he might be facing slightly earlier timing of Hydras as a result. But I feel like the economic damage Best has done will make it pretty impossible for action to get across the map and, you know, punish a pre-storm timing.
It'll be tough, and there's 2 gateways here, so there's going to be an awkwardly large number of zealots coming out. This is slowing down some other things for Best, but it's going to give him a lot of fodder to try and build cannons behind. Also, it's cross-map, so it's pretty far. But you know what? Action didn't lose a single Overlord to these Corsairs. Usually you get at least one, but he lost no Overlords, and so he's kind of smoothly pumping out Hydras now. I think he might still go for this. That's quite a few Hydras, Shun, and we're just about to reach that 8-minute mark. It's right when you'd like to bust in, right before that 9-minute marker when the Storm is likely to finish. 2 cannons back at home, and that's all he's got. Sending out the Zealots right now, but the Hydra number is getting pretty big.
Yeah, I mean, Best could defend by attacking. Just having these Zealots out on the map does kind of pin back some Hydras defensively to stop his bases being overrun. That might be the saving grace here of Best, because Action's going to have to respond to this rather than thinking about any kind of pressure play. Trying to kill some of these Overlords while the Zealots are fighting on the ground. Action will easily clean up these Zealots, but not before losing 2 or 3 Overlords to the Corsairs. But he has thrown away a lot of his infantry. Now Action could consider a contained situation, especially if he rushed into getting that lurker aspect early. So yeah, I'm curious about that. Has he elected to go for fast lurker here? Because then he could set up a contain.
He doesn't have a 3rd gas just yet. He does have 400 gas in the bank. Maybe he can make, you know, 4 or 5 lurkers, get that other gas as well. He could also, okay, there's the other gas coming online. He could also make some mutas, but I think that's a little bit less likely. Action, are we going to see, okay, a big round of drones here, and potentially a 4th base is the other option.
Yeah, I don't think mutas is the choice. You didn't really kill any Corsairs. And you haven't got that much gas to really capitalize on going for mutas here in this situation. I think it's more likely to either be mass Hydra into, you know, a 4th base, or potentially a relatively fast lurker play. But I imagine he didn't get the lurker aspect that early due to how late the 3rd gas is, so he probably won't have a timing to actually contain Best in this situation. He's going to have to decide either rushing into Hive with upgrades or taking a very quick 4th base, and he's not doing either of those things for the present moment.
Kind of looks to me like he's going to be taking this 4th base here soon. Moving in that direction. There we go. A 4th base goes down. This is more action-esque, honestly. Just get into this 4th and, you know, set yourself up for a later game. Get into that Hive play from 4 bases, most likely. It's pretty defendable on this map. You've got the high ground at the 3rd. The natural, you can spread sunken colonies out into the front and really lurker that area up. And then the 4th base is also pretty tight over there on that right-hand side. So I think this is a good position for Action if he manages to deal with this Templar attack okay, because that's wandered all the way around the map on the left-hand side and gone completely unscouted by Action until just this very moment. Now there's High Templars that are about to be on the high ground here. Could cast Storm on the drones or on Hydras that are coming to defend, to help defend here. He's got two choices right now, and he's holding on to those Storms for a long time. There we go. One of them gets casted. More Zealots come up from behind here. This is a real panic moment for Action as he tries to deal with this pretty convincing attack here, this surprise attack from Best.
Yeah, it was really sneaky to go around the whole left-hand side of the map like this. It was quite smart from Action to evacuate just a few drones at a time to make it harder to get a cost-efficient storm on those drone lines. He actually killed that main hatchery at the third base location because it was so low from the early game. And now even pressuring the fourth hatchery, Best is just in full steam roll mode at the moment. He's just going to try and see if he can ram it down a little bit, catch Action a little bit off guard here, and try and overwhelm me. And he's playing Distraction in the natural expansion with those Corsairs, trying to draw the attention of Action away so he can also flood through with some Zealots. He's only going to be trying to play mop-up duty with those, dealing with those Corsairs, and now some Lurkers are not actually in position. He tries the Lurker egg block, the ramp doesn't stop all of the Zealots getting in, but he does stop the majority of them. Only two Zealots in the main mineral line, but that might be enough to clinch this out for Best. He's going to cause a lot of destruction now. Pure panic mode from our Zerg gamer. He's got the Lurkers that he needs, but they're kind of in awkward positions, and he's having a hard time cost efficiently shutting down this Zealot aggression.
He's having a really tough time getting any units out right now. Heavily supply blocked. These Lurkers were just a tiny bit too late. If he had Lurkers on the high ground over at the 12 o'clock, none of this does any damage when that first push came in. So, unfortunately, just didn't have the Lurkers in time, and Best has grabbed a big advantage. He is going directly now into a fourth base. He knows that Action's been severely hindered, and his hive timing and his drone count is going to be a lot slower.
Yeah, he's going to struggle really to do anything that he wants to. He might be forced to stay on Battle Zerg and try and just kill the third base of Best. That might be his win condition right now. He knows how far behind he is. If he tries to sit back and just catch up by making drones, he won't have enough units to keep defending against the aggression of Best, and Best will get away with third base for free. He has got hardly any units in the center, though. Most of the Hydra's already dead. Action gonna have to retreat and transition anyway while replacing the hatchery at the third location. His economy is almost in shambles. It will eventually recover, but that's just long enough for Best to get this third base online and secure his position in this game. And it seems like a muta switch is going to be the course of action from our Zerg now, as he wants to maybe snipe some High Templars to kind of even the scales of power out. He needs to do something.
Yeah, he needs a comeback mechanic, and this is the chosen method for so many Zerg players in a bad position. He could go after the Observer. He does get the Observer. There's a ton of Lurkers here. They are very stacked. They eat a lot of storm damage, but without an Observer... Okay, there's another Observer here just below this. He could have tried to push the issue a little bit further. He could get a free High Templar as well. There's one right there. All right, he will get that. Managing to pick off that High Templar. Can track the army as well. High Templars tend to lag behind a little bit, so there's opportunities to snipe those down, but Action is grasping at straws while Best is taking another base. He's grabbing his fourth base behind this, and he's completely uncontested. Oh, he's hold position. He's hold position Lurker. Oh, no. He was waiting for all the Protoss units to get on top of that, but unfortunately there was one more Observer. Another good comeback mechanic attempt from Action, but it's not going to work out in his favor.
Yeah, this is really unfortunate, man. He kind of needs to go all in now. I don't think he can just sit back and recover. He needs to go on the hunt for some more High Templars with the mutas, and then maybe try and get a kill move on one or more of these Protoss bases. You can't let Best get a 4th base up right now. It's absolutely insane how far ahead he is of the Zerg. Action going to be struggling a lot from this point onwards. And it's a pretty scary death ball. Like, he's got 2 Archons with that to make it harder for the miniatures to fly in. He's going to try and tactically assault the 4th base, see if he can snipe a few of these High Templars there. But the main battle force of the Protoss still relatively uncontested. I think he just sniped the Observer again. So he's kind of playing keep away while recovering, but honestly, I don't think recovering is the option here from Action. He's already so far ahead of the curve. Surviving is not going to win the game. He's doing some damage in the main base of Best with those mutas, ravaging some of those probes, but it's not going to be enough to claw his way back.
Yeah, I was hoping for a much longer game between these guys, but it seems like it's going to come to a head right now. Will Action survive and deal massive damage to the Protoss? This is a great burrow from behind, getting some really good spines on top of this entire army, and the fact that there's no observer here really limits Best's options in terms of staying and pushing. He's got to fall back, regroup, and that's just fine as long as he's got 4 bases up and Action's still sitting here on 3. As long as he keeps that army alive and he's got these bases online, he's in a great position.
Yeah, I mean, Best doesn't really have to do anything. The onus is on Action at the moment. Best now just needs to defend and consolidate his position going forward. He's already cutting off the path of attack to that 3rd base location, meeting Action out in the field. Action's got a decent amount of units, but I don't think enough, and the Observer is kept in the back line to protect it from being sniped as well. He's got 2 of them, so even if you do snipe 1, it's not going to be over. This looks like the writing's on the wall now for Action. He's going to tap out. GG is called, and the Protoss squad steaming ahead in this week already, eliminating a player from either the Terran and the Zerg now going forward.
Going forward here with Royal. The Royale with Cheese over in that top right-hand corner. Best down here in the bottom right. We'll see if Royal can bring his A game here today and try to stop Best, who's absolutely on a roll. He's got 2 kills so far, and he's the type of player who could potentially all kill in this very first week of KCM. That would be crazy, but I wouldn't put it past him. This guy is a beast right now, an absolute monster.
No, he really is. I mean, a few weeks ago, Royal was kind of playing insane. I'm not sure how well he's going to be playing today. It's kind of hard to maintain that level of play, especially if you're not used to it. So I'm curious to see what he can bring to the table against Best, because if anything's going to challenge Royal, it's going to be Best PvT. Like, this is probably the soft spot for Royal. He's a pretty solid player. He's great at TVZ, he's great at TVT. TVP a little bit of a weakness for him, like most Terran players. And Best probably one of the best PvT macro Protosses on the planet. The only person that you can really compare with Best is maybe Snow, and they're 2 sides of the same coin. You've got a more microcentric style from Snow, outmaneuvering and just getting so much value out of Reavers, whereas Best is just going to outmuscle you.
Yeah, if you guys haven't watched anything except for the KCM from us for a while, you might be wondering, you know, what happened to Royal. He was doing so well last season. Like, he was an absolute god in the last season. He was crushing. He was looking so fantastic. But it's hard to keep playing at that level, like Shun said. It is very difficult, and he has seemed to kind of go a little bit backwards here in the past few weeks. We've been watching Pro League. We've been watching other games from other sources, and it doesn't seem like he's been able to keep it up. Now, that might be turned around once we get a little bit nearer to the ASL. Maybe he wants to turn it back on again, but whatever it was, that secret sauce that Royal seemed to have there in the final few weeks, or at least like mid-season of KCM, man, It seems to have gone away again. Now the Zealot probe combination has been pushed back. That was some really good control from Royal. Gotta give it to him. This was looking very, very good, and hasn't taken any damage on these Marines yet. Holding the fort down very, very well, and he's even got SCVs in position ready to block this away. Can he do it without losing a single SCV? Ooh, Zealot's on top of these Marines now, but he's got a pretty good surround. He's pushing this back. Can he get the kill on this Zealot? Oh, just barely not, and he gets 2 Marines.
Yeah, that's kind of painful. That means you have to make more Marines than you would like to, unless you were going to go for something like a strong FD push. And he knows it's not going to be an expansion, and Royal's going to be slightly behind curves, or even going to mana pylon the main. This factory is so late now. Like, he already was being a little bit greedy with the bunker expand style, but the factory is going to be even later than it should be, and he just slightly disrupted the mining time with a temporary mana pylon. And yeah, Dragoon's going to check the natural. There probably is only 1 Marine in that bunker, if any. And yeah, the Dragoon's going to get behind the mineral line and be a little bit annoying.
Ooh, can he actually block this? Okay, SCV from behind, but not able to get over there on the right-hand side and prevent the escape. So Best checks. We'll just retreat after the fact. Enough Marines in that bunker now, and things are going to calm down here. But Best already taking small advantages and pushing Royal to his limit. This factory, like you said, very late. And without a second factory started, I think we're going to see a starport. Yeah, there it is. Starport on the way.
Yeah.
We're going to try and make back some of that deficit by going for a pretty quick vulture drop here.
It certainly could work out for him. I'm curious to see how greedy Best wants to be. Like, it wouldn't be super crazy for him to take like a 5-minute 30 third Nexus in this situation. He hasn't elected to do that just yet. Seems like he's going to consolidate on 2 bases for a little bit longer before being super greedy. Playing a bit more conservative, which is going to help him out in dealing with something like a drop tower. You need enough Dragoons to put on pressure, as well as have a few in the main to deal with those drops. But let's see if he can snip this out. Like, he knows that the factory is going to be late from Royal, and he probably is of the understanding that Royal has to do something a bit unorthodox to come back from this deficit. So he might be able to put the puzzle pieces together and realize, hang on a minute, you're probably going to be a little bit sneaky and try and get a dropship into my main. But for the time being, just going to be forcing a tax bill out of Royal, putting as much damage onto this bunker as possible, and also threatening to snipe the tank. You can 2-shot a tank with 4 Dragoons, so Royal has to be super careful until siege mode is done.
Yeah, and this slows down the drop too, by the way, because you have to make that tank. He'd rather just make vultures here and have 4 ready for when the dropship pops out, but he's only gonna have like 2 or 3. Right. And so the drops either not going to be as powerful, or it's going to be late. The Royal kind of has to choose here. That's a bit rough. He also had to pay that tax bill. He had to keep repairing that over and over again. Is he going to pick up the tank? What is the tank doing over here in the right hand? Is he actually going to pick that up? There's no way.
He is. I think he actually is. It's kind of insane.
That's crazy. Okay, you never ever see a tank vulture drop this early on in the game. It's a little bit wild. Best is already heading home with his Dragoons, but it's going to be a while before he gets here. And Roll could get a lot of damage. Let's see how this goes with the very early tank drop. With 2 vultures, he's going to siege up here. See if he can get a big shot. Can he get one? Oh my god, the probes are so stacked. If only he'd waited for a little bit longer to take the shot, he might have gotten a huge bank of kills there. But he's going to get a bunch of mines at least on top of everything, and he could also pick up and kind of move these this tank around as well. Oh my gosh, it's going to fly right into these Dragoons. Does it go down? It does fall, but he gets the vultures out at least.
Yeah, I mean, this was also a good adjustment from Best. He sent a massive probe transfer to the 3rd base. It was just coming online at that moment, so he's not losing out on too much economy from this attack. He's handling it pretty well. He's going to clean it up now. It also wasn't the worst of attacks from Royal, honestly. Like, it is quite a lot of lost mining time still. Killed a decent amount of probes. Even killed the gas of Best, which will hurt him a little bit here. He's not even replaced his gas, so he's basically got nothing but minerals for a while. He's replacing that now. But yeah, I mean, this is probably one of the best case scenarios. Oh my god, that's a lot of factory saying. He's going up to 7 factory, 2 base. This is like the old school Chewbacca build from like back during the Longinus period, man. This is some OG stuff, but he's identified that maybe he's done enough damage to best where he can just go all in on 2 bases and try and bowl him over.
Yeah, this is all or nothing. Royal is not going to hold anything back. He has the perfect turret placement to deny the observer from getting in and actually spotting this as well. And he's placed those factors in such a way that you really have to go deep into the Terran base to find out that this is coming. I really like Royal's decision-making here. Going into a long game from this position against Best is going to be really, really tough. And he's got a direct path straight down the map towards that natural, and we'll see if he can hit a really sizable timing to overwhelm Best, who's sending, I think, a Reaver towards the base. He's actually got a shuttle out. Is there a Reaver online just yet?
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I'd imagine he would have, but it's actually really intelligent from Royal. Like, he knows Best is going to try and get away with staying on 4 gate for as long as possible. And when he does add on more gateways, he's not going to go up to maybe more than 6 for a while as well. So with 7 factories, he should have enough to punch through the defensive lines of Best. He's pretty confident he can pull this off. It's just going to come down to execution and how much Best can slow down this advance with the Reaver control. He's already wrapping around the backside of these Dragoons with some vultures to create space for the tanks to get into more aggressive firing positions. Dragoons trying to intercept now. He's actually got Zealots in this shuttle, not a Reaver, to bomb on some of these tanks. Now targeting them down with those Dragoons. A pretty good spread on those Dragoons, so he's maybe killing more than he should be able to, but it's not enough to kill the whole army. So far, Royal is doing a fantastic job of keeping his hopes alive of just decimating Best right now.
I love the SCVs brought along with his army as well. We saw some repair during the fight, but he's going to be able to repair between the fights as well and keep these tanks at high HP. Oh, this one in the back is going to go down. GG, Best taps out. Wow, I really thought he'd try to hang in there and survive a bit longer, but that was a great push from Royal, and he knocks Best out. 1 apiece here in the KCM. 1 player per squad has been knocked out so far. Royal versus Queen is coming up now. We got Queen over here in the top right. Royale with Cheese in the top left. French Big Mac here. What's he got for us versus Queen? I mean, I've enjoyed Royal's TVZ basically more than any other Terran player recently. He's been so much fun to watch. He's been so interesting.
Yeah.
He looks like he's going to go ahead and do a gas build here. This has been catching on so much lately. I've seen Light doing this an awful lot as well.
Yeah, well, I think Terrans, you know, have kind of gone back to the drawing board a little bit and start to kind of reinvent the wheel by just mixing up their play more and, you know, not playing super standard. I think that's necessary. Like, you can't get too stuck in your ways. Like, gone are the days where you can just play SK Terran and be fine. Like, Zergs are just so good at playing against that style now. You kind of have to mix it up and also keep them guessing as to what you're going to do, so they can't just metagame you into oblivion as well. I'm curious, what variation of gas build is this? Like, is it just going to be a 2-port Wraith play? Is this going to be, you know, very fast Valkyries? Like, there are so many different things you could do with a fast gas. You can do mech, you can do, you know, vulture run by into 1-1-1 Valkyrie. There's just so many options from this.
Yeah, there are so many different branches in the tech tree here for this fast gas. You can go for even vulture drop. I've seen a lot lately, and there's not really a whole lot that Zerg can do to try and scout you and figure out what's coming. Like, he's going to know that at least he needs a sunken colony in the front, that there's going to be a vulture out, but he doesn't know much beyond that. You're not going to be able to get in here with that wall on the high ground. So Royal taking the lead here. Not in terms of, you know, his positioning, but taking the lead in terms of what he's planning. Oh my goodness, a second barracks, yes. This is the cheesy royal that I'm talking about. Gonna be making 2 racks on one base and just trying to smash the front.
Yes, this is really sneaky. So Queen's gonna identify this as a gas play, and he's gonna make one single sunken or a few speedlings to deal with the vulture pressure, and he probably won't have enough to deal with the actual bio bust that comes in. And on one base, you can get a pretty sizable bio force about 20-30 seconds ahead of schedule, depending on if you went factory or not. Since you went factory, it's going to still be a little bit slower than it could be. Like if it's just a straight up 2 racks, 1 base play, that attack is coming with stim at like 4 minutes 20. It's insane. It'll be a little bit delayed because of the factory play, but it also will make Queen think he's safe with just 1 single sunken and like 4 lings, and he won't be.
Yeah, this is really, really sneaky. Generally, like we see this build sometimes. We see the 2 racks sometimes, where you'll like fake that you're going for a natural and you'll put a barracks there instead. And if the Zerg player doesn't click on it and actually look at it, then they won't know. Oh, he's going Hydras too. He's going to make a couple of Hydras to try and make himself safe against potential vulture drop, or Wraith play. And this is just going to play directly into the hands here for Royal. Like I was trying to say, generally speaking, like, if you're going to go for a 2 racks, you're not going to make this factory, and he's going so unorthodox here. I don't think the Queen's going to be able to figure him out.
Yeah, you can see that I was quite accurate about it slows down the push by about 10 or so seconds, and he did start to come out with the medics and marines at about 4:30, slightly slower than a 4:20 timing, but should be fast enough to come across the map and really punish this setup from Queen. He's playing a very traditional counter to a gas opening from Terran, and is currently being metagamed into oblivion. There's still technically a chance for Queen to hold, especially if he can get a drone drill, but he hasn't got an Overlord in position of any sight of minerals out on the map, so he can't do an efficient enough drone drill to save him here. He's got to rely on the sunken and Hydras predominantly. Close in and start targeting down Marines. Pretty good effort. He has got enough Hydras to one-shot these Marines almost with the targeting fire, so he's going to be doing that as best as he can to buy some valuable time to squeeze out more units. He actually managed to get a critical mass of Hydras to stop himself from dying right off the bat. There is a chance that Queen holds this.
That's crazy. I mean, did Queen read this and build those extra Hydras, or was he like, I just don't even know what you're doing? Maybe I just need to make Hydras to make sure I'm safe? I'm not so sure. This is... Yeah, go ahead.
I think he was going to set up to defend and then counterattack. I think he wanted to do a speed Hydra counterattack to punish Royal's tech play, and it's working out defensively instead.
That may be the case. Bunker is coming up here now. He can actually put down a machine shop and build a tank and try to keep going with this push. He doesn't have a lot of options here. It's kind of forced into this now. And in fact, there's no Spire for Queen, so Queen might fall victim to this. Like, he doesn't have anything where he can just kind of tech out, make a bunch of mutas, and like fly out here and do a bunch of damage to Royal. He's kind of forced into just building sunken colonies and lots of Hydras and try to break head on this little push here in the front.
Yeah, he's even catching one of the Overlords with a pair of Marines as well. That's going to be really annoying for Queen. He's going to get supply blocked at a pretty critical junction, but he has had time to finish up Lurker aspects, so he has got quite a lot of Lurker eggs morphing. If he can get a tactical snipe on that tank, he's going to be in an okay position, but that's easier said than done. Royal, as long as he positions this tank well, that's a pretty good setup from him. It's going to be a little bit tricky for Queen to get the snipe on that with the Lurkers.
Well, we also have to remember there's only one scanner here for Royal. And he's going to have like max 2 to 3 scans. So, you know, if he's able to bait out a couple of scans, it's going to be super hard for Royal to push forward any further.
This Lurker.
Lurker from behind. That's going to definitely force a scan. It might even get some kills as well. Ooh, 3 Marines go down. just forcing one scan on the left-hand side here is so big, and he's trying to even get in range of the tank. He's in range of the tank.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness,
gosh.
he forces the scan. There it is. He does get the lurker, but again, this slows down the attack by so much.
Yeah, and the main thing is just baiting out that scan, right? Like you were saying, only one comes out, gonna be really tough. He's probably got just one more scan to rely on, so he's more likely just to sit here and set up a turret rather than going for an aggression. He has got that tank on the little perch at the bottom of the trench, so he can still get maximum damage output. He's gonna try and break through now. Not quite able to do it, but the tanks might be able to still get the job done. With that turret there helping out with detection, close in proximity to the bunker and tanks. Royal still trading pretty fantastically. Queen trying to sandbag with additional creeps, but it's in range of the tank already, so that's not successful. Royal also going to follow this up with a starport as well to help find ways of driving the nails into the coffin of Queen going forward.
Yeah, Queen only has a evolution chamber as his backup plan. He's probably got an armor upgrade on the way, and the tanks are going to just keep coming. There's going to be more and more arriving here at the natural, and there's no hope of Dark Swarm, and just a small amount of Hydras and Lings filing out of these three hatcheries. So that was a bit of a hard run there for Queen. He tried to break this best he could, but honestly, the Lings really got stuck on the lurkers as he was trying to do that attack. They filed in really, really slow, and everything kind of died without really getting much damage going. And now with 4 tanks, man, I don't know if there's much hope here for Queen to hold this off. He's going to back up with all the lurkers, try to get into a better spot here, and there's really nothing he can do except for try to build up another wave and try to break this again. And I don't know if there's any hope of that.
Yeah, I'm not so sure either. It's almost like Queen's like kind of hoping that Royal makes a mistake. Really great preemptive stim forward from Royal as Queen was shuffling around his lurkers a little bit. Lurker on the high ground doing a bit of heavy lifting at warding away optimal firing positions from Royal being ascertained, but a vessel will eventually be made as kind of like a checkmate move here from Royal. Queen's on the clock. He's going to start breaking out now. A lot of the lurkers are falling, unsieging the tanks as well. Lings are not doing enough at clearing out those tanks, unfortunately, and this does look like it's now going to be a Royal victory. Queen taps out, and Terran doing pretty good in this week. There's just Soma remaining on the card going forward, but next we're going to be seeing either Royal against Snow or Mini.
Snow has been sent forward here to face off against Royal. This is the matchup that we see a lot in Pro League as well. If Snow gets sent out in Pro League, the Zerg sends Soma, or the other team will send Soma if he's available. If Royal is out and doing a lot of work, then they send out Snow to deal with Royal. It's just not quite as good against Protoss, and Snow is just, honestly, it feels like his kryptonite is Snow at the moment.
That kind of makes sense, honestly. Yeah, I mean, you can't be good at everything in StarCraft. Flash was maybe one of the only guys that made it seem like it was possible to be good against everything. He had a 70+ win rate in all 3 matchups. We just don't see that anymore. This was during a different era where there was a lot of information that Flash had that these other guys didn't. His optimizations were just better as a result, and other players weren't able to hit the same timings as him. Now everyone's just so good, so it's kind of impossible to be able to focus on all 3 matchups and reign supreme in those. So yeah, you even like Sulky's dominance, where he had 4 ASL titles back to back. Even then, he was struggling a bit in ZVZ, right? Like, it's almost impossible to do it all in this modern era.
Yeah, everybody's got their weaker matchups. Snow, of course, well known for being a bit weaker versus Zerg, and that's pretty typical, but he's been sent out here with one mission in mind: to defeat Royal here and give his squad a better chance of making it through in first place this week. Of course, if he does beat Royal, he will be up against Snow. And honestly, we've seen a lot of great games. We've seen a bit of back and forth with Snow managing to win a few games versus Soma, but predominantly it does seem like Snow, or like Soma has Snow's number. It's just the kind of the way that it is right now. It's a little bit funny, but all the pro players know it, and they really play into it when it comes to Pro League.
Yeah, we talked about it before, but it's not just player skill that's a factor, it's player style. And sometimes a player can be a little bit better than you, but also their style kind of naturally counters yours, so it feels like the skill difference is even bigger than it actually is. And that's kind of the situation with players like Snow and Royal facing off against one another. Not only does Snow kind of know Royal inside and out, but stylistically, being such a micro-centric Protoss, he can really tax Royal from start to finish, as he's already doing here, slowing down the effectiveness of this bunker expand, forcing SCVs off the line, and delaying Snow as much as possible. And yeah, this is not really crippling for Snow to go for these like Zealot pressure plays in the early game either. And Royal probably doing this bunker expand just because he knows he needs a leg up against someone of Snow's caliber that stylistically deals with him so well.
Ooh, Snow gonna put down a proxy?
Yeah, he is.
I think you usually do this on one base. Am I wrong about that? Like, if you're gonna try and break a bunker expand. Okay.
No, you can do this off 2 base, yeah. You got 2 choices. You can either go like proxy gates and just flood goons, or you can go like proxy reaver tech. You can do either. Like you can go proxy robo and fly earlier into the main base of Royal and put the pressure on. Or he could, if he wanted to, throw down like 2 or 3 additional gateways and try and just run it down with dragoons and bust. Honestly, it's Snow, so he's gonna do the former and get the robo out, but there's lots of ways you can go from here.
Yeah, the timing I was thinking of is when you build the Reaver and like slug it to the natural and just kill the bunker, but you know, this might help him to just get in a little bit faster, have the Reaver at an earlier timing, and be a bit surprising to Royal, but it's not going to be like before tanks or anything else is available for Royal. He's going to have this machine shop done here in a moment. Some tanks out, but perhaps not enough turrets done in time to deal with this attack.
That's basically the idea, is you're trying to catch them with their pants down when their turrets are like a few seconds away. Like they're timing it out for a more traditional timing, and they think they're safe, and suddenly your shuttle and Reaver are getting there like 5-10 seconds ahead of schedule, and suddenly they fall apart because they just weren't ready for that timing, and that's exactly what Snow is trying to find.
He's gonna have that shuttle on the way now and start this robotic support bay in a moment. SCV, I actually don't see the robotic support bay. Am I missing it? It might be somewhere else on the map. Maybe he's just gonna leverage dragoons into the main. Is that a possibility? Okay, there it is. Okay, robotics. He might still lift some dragoons into the main, but
he might do both.
Yeah, he's gonna have a Reaver out here pretty soon. Tank gonna get some early damage here on this first dragoon, actually taking the shields away. And that could actually make a bit of a difference here as the dragoons get sent into the main base. Just lowering that HP and making these a little bit softer might give Royal a better chance of holding this off. His engineering bay is really far away though, his turret's even further, and Snow is about to go directly into his main base, man. This is actually going to work out a treat here for Snow.
Yeah, this should go fantastic. And he's not going to be all in with this. Like, he's going to take a 3rd base. He's going to play standard, more or less, after this. He's about to throw down that Nexus now. There you go. And what's so crazy is that all he has to do is just do enough damage that Royal can't just immediately go for a counterattack and punish this proxy robo. He doesn't have to kill Royal. He just has to do enough damage to warrant going for this proxy Reaver play, and it's probably going to work. He just now finished that engineering bay. There's no turrets in sight. He has got some tanks he can utilize to slow this down and maybe disrupt this Reaver doing too much damage, but already evacuating the main base. This is so much lost timing of that mine for Royal going forward. Even if he doesn't kill hardly any SCVs, there's already so much damage that Royal has to overcome.
There we go. Siege mode is done, but a tank will fall. He's going to get a vulture here as well. Very good micro, as always, from Snow. Definitely needing to get some turrets going here as soon as possible. Royal wants to transfer back as quickly as he can, but I think there's another Zealot in here. Did he lose both the Zealots, or did he pick up one? Can he drop that Reaver
I think he
again?
lost them. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. I thought he lost them, but maybe not.
Just going back and forth here like a shark, looking for any sort of hole in the game. And he's still got one Zealot, and he's going to go after this turret now. Can it soak up some of these tank shots and go for some more kills? Another vulture maybe gonna go down? Nope, not quite. Very good turnaround there. Hardly taking any damage on the siege tank. That's really a underrated skill, is being able to micro against, micro away from the Reavers in these type of tense scenarios.
Yeah, I mean, this was not that bad from Royal. Like, he held this a little bit better than I thought he would. He did still take good enough damage that Snow can be happy, though. He lost a supply depot, he got supply blocked, lost a lot of mining time, a few SCVs, lost a tank. This is still good enough compensation for Snow going forward, but Royal at least has a playable game stay. I still think, like, Snow is a massive favorite in this game. But it's not terrible for Royal. Like, he could just be so far behind that a comeback is almost impossible, and it's not going to be that. Like, we actually might see a real game.
It's possible. We got 5 factories now from Royal. Probably a third base in the head here for our Terran player. He's going to be expanding away from the Protoss, so it's a little bit easier to hold. And down in that bottom right-hand corner, you can grab that gas base. Really lock that down and get into, you know, a much larger push. This is probably just going to be dealt with. There we go. Nice shot there from the Reavers. Always able to get the perfect hits. And Snow clears that up with only losing about 2 to 3 probes. Coming back towards this main base, there's plenty of options here for harassment. A 6th factory has started, so actually Royal potentially just going to go for an all-in, try to break Snow here. I'm not sure if that's going to go well for him, because man, these Reaver shots have been so good. He's even dealt a lot of damage to these tanks in the main.
Yeah, and it taxes Royal in a big way. Like, he has to repair these tanks up. It takes a lot of attention. Oh, jeez. That's a problem. Definitely going to be a bit of an upset for Snow when he realizes that. Royal kind of going to be going all in, though. Like, sort of following in the footsteps as he did before when he ran it down against Best. Now going to be doing a bit of a rinse and repeat against Snow, but Snow so much better at controlling these Reavers. Look at how many tanks he's able to kill with these Reavers, man. It absolutely blows my mind. I don't think anyone is as good with any unit in StarCraft as Snow is with Reavers. It's like he's really mastered that unit, and I don't think any other player can say the same about any unit other than that.
He just fixed the probes over there at the 12 o'clock, like 5 seconds ago. 5 seconds before we saw it there. So quite a bit of lost mining time over at that base. A 4th is on the way in top right. These Reavers have gotten insane damage, but they are going to start to fall. Diving forward here, can he actually get one of the shuttles? He does get the Reaver, but he can't get the shuttle here, so one Reaver is still alive. The Robo, though, is going to die, and so no more shuttles can be made. No more Reavers can be made. Can Royal take advantage of this moment to actually get this push into a good position and start to put the real pressure onto Snow?
Yeah, I mean, he's got like 6 or so gateways. He's going to try and collapse onto this tank line now with some Zealot bombs, but he's attacking from the low ground. Not ideal. Needs to get up onto this edge, and does manage to get on top of these tanks in a big enough way that he's going to actually overwhelm Royal now. Really nicely handled here from Snow, smacking down this attack. He's doing so much better than Best did at dealing with this counterplay option from the Terran. Royal, you know, I guess could be trading worse than this, but this is almost about as bad as it gets for Royal, realistically speaking. He's going to get shut down in this aggression. Snow's even expanding to a 4th right now. He's feeling fantastic. He replaced the Robo in the main now. So yeah, this is going to be a really rough game for Royal going forward.
Yeah, Royal's just about out of options here after losing all of those tanks. He's gonna send another 4 or 5 vultures across the map with those 2 tanks and try to get something going here. But if he's not able to kill a base, the game is just over. Snow, of course, not going to make it easy for him. Diving on top of these tanks, he's already gotten rid of 1. And we're just waiting for the tap-out moment here, realistically, for Royal. Snow is just too damn good at this matchup and proving once again to be Royal's kryptonite in PvT.
Yeah, he really is, man. It's kind of insane how he can do what he does. He's got like 22 kills on that Reaver, man. It's so wild to me. Like, this unit costs 200 minerals and 100 gas. It doesn't feel fair, especially when Snow's the one controlling it. It's kind of bonkers crazy. I mean, Royal is gaining some ground. The expansion at the 4th, a little bit exposed. Maybe he could rotate there, but let's be honest. Look how much army there is here for Snow. There's just too much meat on the bone for Royal to chew through. This is going to be the tap-out moment once he overruns this position. Royal knows there's not going to be any chances of transitioning from this. He's kind of just waiting the game out at this point. I don't think he thinks he can win the game from here on. Maybe he will try and wear out Snow a little bit to make it easier for him to die later, but GG is called, and Snow just in absolute pain train domination mode. But we're going to be having that Snow versus Soma epic showdown next. It's going to be special.
Snow versus Soma. This is a match to wake you guys up. Sit up straight in your chair, lean forward like you're having a gamer moment now. Soma and Snow are about to throw down on Litmus. Got Soma over here in the top right-hand corner. Snow in the bottom right, and these guys have gone toe-to-toe so much lately, man. It really is crazy how consistently the pro players throw out Soma to deal with Snow, because he's just so hard to beat with anybody else. I mean, other Zerg players have a good chance too, but like Soma just really seems to have his number.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that this is like one of the only maps we have where there's a slight statistical edge for Protoss over Zerg. Like it's quite literally one of the best PvZ maps that we have. That might be just enough of a saving grace for Snow to really challenge Soma here. I think on just about any other map, I would put money on Soma being a clear favorite. This is the one map where I'm not so sure. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Soma going for relatively quick pull. I think this is still an overpull, but he's gone for a gas as well to put on some early pressure. You don't have to go cheesy with this. Like, you could just represent early aggression and then do a normal macro game and kind of force the Protoss into playing more defensive and wasting money on cannons and what have you. But Soma doing a good job of blocking this probe from getting in and scouting. So I guess Snow has to know this is what's happening. He should be able to ascertain that this is going to be at least a fast ling speed play from Soma, and he might be at risk of being overrun early in his natural, so wouldn't be surprised to see a fairly early second cannon from him.
Yeah, second cannon would be a really good idea at this point. Seems like Soma might block the high ground, and so Snow still might not be able to get in here to scout. He throws down a gateway and has just 2 probes in this natural. He's got to pull more if he wants to survive this attack. The cannon's not done yet. Probes are coming down. He turns around with the probe. Very nice control. But pulling away is not the right call. He's got to stay in this wall and make sure that Soma doesn't get in here, because at any moment now that speed is going to finish, and he needs additional workers here. Okay, he's pulling them now. This is great game sense from Snow, making sure that he's got a few extra probes here to defend.
Yeah, this is really well done from Snow. He's come a long way in dealing with early Zerg aggression. Like, there was once upon a time, not that long ago, where he was just dying to ling bus over and over again, and he just didn't figure it out. But now he seems a lot more optimized in doing so, and he's getting away with one single cannon. It's a little bit greedy from Snow, but he's feeling much more confident in himself and his ability to shut down this early aggression. He's even making a cannon in the main. That's super smart and super safe. Not only does this shut down Ling run by options from Soma, but it makes it so that if he does glitch a few Lings over this mineral patch that he was attempting to do so temporarily, he could also be safe against that. Snow kind of metagaming Soma here, understanding the range of play which is possible, and he's going to be putting himself into a pretty comfortable position as a result. Soma going to be translating this early pressure into a more traditional third base setup, but honestly, Snow's got to be feeling pretty good about his position.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the way that Soma has beaten Snow consistently time and time again is with these double tech plays where he's going for Spire and Hydra Den, and then, you know, getting him with the Muta all in or getting him with the Hydra Den, the Hydralisk all in. And Snow's been really struggling to deal with that. Of course, Ling pressure in the early game has been a bit of a factor as well, but late game, Snow seems to be able to stand on par with Soma for the most part. And so seeing that we may be getting into at least like 2-base play from Snow, we might be able to get, you know, a big 2-base push going from Snow. I think he stands a very good chance of taking this one home.
Yeah, well, I think he's going to be pretty aggressive. Like, he's made a second gateway early. He's identified the lair timing will be delayed enough that he can be a bit more blazing about how he techs. So he's made a second gateway before the Stargate, so he's still going to have access to Corsairs to shut down Soma later and to get some scouting information, but he's also going to have a much stronger infantry force early on. Needs to be careful not to get this Zealot and Probe caught as they try and move out. He almost gobbled up a Zealot there. We missed it on screen for a second, but Soma almost got a surround on a Zealot. Luckily, Snow was able to save that in time.
We're going to see Soma lose probably 2 Overlords at minimum. That Spire was a bit delayed because of the early aggression and the early Ling speed, and now these Zealots are going to come across the map and cause quite a problem for Soma. He's got to build quite a few more links. That's going to limit his drone count. I think that Snow is pushing all the right buttons here to give himself a pretty good position. The surround is pretty nice for Soma. He's actually going to trade out really, really handily here, but every single one of these Lings is a drone that's not mining right now for Soma, and so that's a little bit rough.
Yeah, I still think Soma's dealt with this quite well. He's cleaned up those 3 Zealots without really losing anything, and the Spire timing relative to the Stargate is actually okay. Like, because he went for the second gateway first to put on the pressure, the Corsairs are going to be late enough that he actually won't lose Overlords, and he's gobbling up these Zealots very efficiently, actually. So I do kind of feel like this is not bad for Soma. He has taken a bit of a hit to his economy because he's made this many Lings, though. So Snow has technically found compensation. He needs to not lose a Corsair to the Scourge, though. He manages to quickly identify. Oh, still takes 1 hit, and he hasn't yet got these Corsairs on a safety trajectory to the natural. Needs to be careful about how he gets back home. There's another Scourge in interception mode. Gonna try and catch it. Ooh.
Can he get this Corsair? Oh, he does pick it off. And he gets a hit on this Corsair in the natural too. That's a little bit rough. We might see a Mutalist transition from Soma off of this. Pretty tempting to do so. He's already got 2 gases. He's going for a 4th base right now. Soma is so ballsy with his play. He's killed quite a few Zealots though, so it's understandable that he has some confidence. It's just Snow could come out with some more Zealots pretty soon. I guess that the Mutas just deal with it though. He's just got enough Mutas that he can't really come out with Zealots, and he's got to wait for more Corsairs. So I guess taking this 4th base right now and really not that crazy for Soma.
Yeah, third gas on the way for Soma. He's definitely going to commit into those mutas a little bit. Snow's identified that's a massive risk factor, though. He's got quite a lot of cannons set up in his main preemptively. He's adding a couple of cannons to his natural to be as safe as possible. Massive flock of Scourge and mutas making their way. There's 3 cannons in the main and 3 in the natural, but the natural's a little bit exposed. Only 1 cannon covering the mineral line, but Soma is beelining to that main base with the 3 cannon setups. Corsairs try to intercept a little bit, but there's not enough to one-shot these Scourge, so they easily get zoned out by those Scourge, and now Soma can kind of reign supreme and choose whether or not he wants to engage. It actually seems like he wants to back off for a little bit longer. He has got a 4th base up, so maybe feeling like he doesn't have to fully commit to this. He has forced a big reaction out of Snow already. A lot of cannons have been made, so just by existing with these units, Soma's doing indirect damage to Snow while he's also macroing up back at home. So kind of regardless of what happens, unless he suicides all the units in, Soma's feeling a bit better about this spot now.
Yeah, this is some really solid play from Soma. I think that he just understands this matchup better than I or you or anyone ever will. This is this is incredible what he's able to kind of get away with here by taking such an early 4th base and just controlling the air, understanding that Snow's going to be concerned about that bust in the main, and you can see that he wasn't really fully committed to diving on that main base. Unless there was like a severe lack of cannons there, then he would have gone for, you know, 1 cannon or whatever. But it was pretty clear that his goal was to just dive the Corsairs and keep that number low. He's even gotten armor because he intends to not allow Snow to just take over this air and continue to make mutas going forward here. He's got the 4 bases online so early. He's got so much economy that he can just stick to that layer play and continue to fight. Snow is even getting a ton of Corsairs here. Oh my goodness. I really thought that he wasn't going to be able to get any more kills here on the Corsairs without the muta's involvement, but Scourge getting connections at this point is pretty rough for Snow. He really can't defend his High Templars now.
Yeah, that was pretty insane. It's almost like Soma's Scourge AI is just better than other Zergs. That was really well done. Now just 4 Corsairs, and he can't afford to really replenish those. He's going to have to maybe make a Dark Archon to be super safe. With that +1 flyer carapace, he can kind of bully these Corsairs. Has got more Scourge on interception, trying to pick these up to completely successfully get massive air superiority over Snow going forward. And yeah, despite having access to 3 gas, you still don't want to waste money on Corsairs at this stage of the game. He's more likely to get a Dark Archon, but at the moment, Snow going to go on the aggressive and see if he can bowl over one of his places. But look at this from Soma. He's making so many Sunkens at the 3rd and 4th. He's anticipating this response from Snow while transitioning into Hive, and with that many Sunkens, it's going to be almost impossible for Snow to actually break through and kill these bases without at least losing a lot of units in the process.
I swear, Soma makes more sunken colonies in this matchup than anybody else, and usually it's a sign of a great player that you don't have to make as many sunken colonies. Like, making a lot of sunken colonies is usually kind of like a newbie thing, but he is just so good at maximizing his macro that it doesn't even matter that he's spending all these drones. He's just making sure that he's super safe and giving himself a way into the late game, and he knows that the Protoss is so... They're so invested in this push. He needs to get damage done that having all these sunken colonies, it just makes it so hard to get any of that damage. And now he's going to be able to come in, try to snipe some of these High Templars from behind. Oh, he kind of bunches up there with the mutas and takes a lot of damage on those. But he's bringing together an army behind this to potentially completely wrap around and end Snow's chances here of breaking through while sniping down High Templars with the mutas in the air.
It's pretty good though from Snow. He is starting to break through. There is an opportunity here for Snow to maybe force an evacuation on this base and clear it up. Some lings are pouring out of the eggs, but not quite enough to clear up this army. Snow just barely breaking through. You can see how necessary making that many Sunkens are, and I think the reason why Soma relies on these choices is because he's a very tempo-centric player, and he identifies when he's at his weakest and when he's at his strongest, and in that moment he knew he had to make tons of Sunkens just to hang on, but Snow still finds a timing to break through. He's taking a third base as an insurance policy behind this. Soma's got a small counterattack of Lings to try and punish this, but I don't think it's going to matter too much because Snow's rotating to the backside of that fourth base now, which isn't quite yet covered by the Sunkens properly. He's got 3 morphing at the moment. They're not quite done yet. They're just now popping, and a massive storm on all those clumped up drones as well. Snow doesn't even have to necessarily kill this base. He can kind of just sit on the north side of it and use the Dragoons to kind of shell the hatchery from a distance and avoid a direct engagement with those sunken colonies and force Soma to come to him.
My god, 18 sunken colonies I counted in those 2 bases, the natural or the 3rd and the 4th base. That is so many sunken colonies, and somehow Snow just passes right through. He just smashes this base, and now he's in an absolutely enormous advantage. I thought that Soma was definitely going to have the antidote to this attack. He was going to, hold off with all these sunken colonies and surround and flank that army, but he took a little bit too much damage from the storms on his mutas, and he wasn't able to get the snipes that we usually see from him. This just has not worked out for him, and I just don't see a route back in. And as Snow moves to take his 3rd base, he's got Archons there, he's got this roaming army over in the top left-hand corner that's just denying bases over and over again, and Soma doesn't have not only the economy, but also the production to make a big enough army to deal with all this. He's going to dive on top of this small army in the top left, and even that's going to be hard to clear up. He will eventually get through this, but he's going to lose a bunch of mutas. He's going to lose a lot of these lings. And back behind this, Snow just has so much money to work with, and he's going to have this 3rd base online as well.
Yeah, the one thing going for Soma is he did slow down the 3rd base timing a little bit from Snow here. He's going to try and double expand to compensate and try and launch himself back into a 4-base economy. It's still going to be rough going from here on out, especially now he has to kind of defend on 2 sides of the map. Luckily, he's got a few Sunkens to kind of help buffer on the left-hand side, but they won't protect him from another attack from the rear if Snow wants to go via the 3rd base. He's actually morphing Guardians. You so rarely see Guardians in ZVP because they don't usually have a very high expected value, but he's kind of just hoping that he can do enough damage with these Guardians to slow Snow down, deny as much mining as possible at the natural and 3rd to maybe claw his way back into this game while he sets up this 3rd and 4th base again.
I guess you can kill both the gases, right? Like, there's nothing they can do about you hitting the gases here. There's going to be a ton of storms to deal with this, though, and that's really the big problem with Guardians, is that storm just kind of ruins them. It only costs energy, and Guardians really don't move out of it very quickly. The base over here gets taken down. I guess the 4th is still alive for now. Can Soma deny enough mining here? Can he slow things down enough? Oh my gosh, he's catching so many probes actually on the transfer. That's pretty huge. Can he do enough damage here to make his way back into this game? Snow is dropping pretty low in supply. He's down to 108, and he's having a hard time storming this stuff too. He's not really getting that good of trades against the Guardians, despite them not really being the greatest units in this matchup.
Well, he morphed a lot of Archons, so he didn't actually have a lot of Storm in his repertoire to easily deal with the Guardians. Usually you'll have so much banked up energy that you can just storm the Guardians into oblivion and be done with it. In this case, it's quite a niche situation where Snow was actually focusing on making as many Archons as possible to be safer against the Muta Ling from Soma. So Soma's kind of baited him into this situation. He's actually made a scout to help maybe try and deal with these Guardians with the antimatter missiles, but might not matter. There is some Scourge here to just try and zone that out. He's trying to break the ankles of the Scourge, but still loses the scout in the process. Soma being super annoying with these last remaining Guardians. He's gonna just barely clean them up now with some Psionic Storm, but not before taking a lot of damage from them. Snow gonna be expanding to his 4th base as well, so I still think Snow in a pretty commanding position. Soma's kind of turtled up on these 3 bases, but it is only 3 bases, and Snow is getting his 4th online now.
That micro on this scout was so crazy. So many lings coming across the map now, but that investment into early Archons actually is going to pay off huge. He's got 2 Archons here at the front with Storm as well. You're not going to break through that with just pure ling, Soma. He's got 1,300 minerals in the gas bunt, or 1,300 minerals in the bank. Lots of gas as well. So he's paid a bunch more Guardians to just see if he can get huge value trades here and slow down Snow as much as possible. This is so unorthodox, so crazy. I'm almost in disbelief here that he's still going for something like this.
Yeah, he's just trying any win condition, and he just felt like this was the best tempo play to, you know, maybe achieve that. I don't think it's going to work. I think Snow's going to still win the game, but it's a nice idea from Soma. Snow certainly didn't expect it. Managed to do a lot of damage to Snow, utilizing those Guardians. Probably got more value out of them than most Zerg players could. It's quite a niche situation to be able to find a use of Guardians. But the problem is that Soma just doesn't have a 4th base, so he doesn't really have a transition out of this. Once Snow gets this 4th base fully mining, he's going to be feeling pretty fantastic. He just needs to trade well from this point onwards, and he'll always be ahead.
Yeah, it's looking like only good trades here. He's got 3-2 already? Oh, that's wild. Someone's already got +3 armor, +2 attack, and he's still making air upgrades as well. That's nuts. Great Storm there, getting rid of this stuff. Scout, just checking over that high ground. Scouts are actually fantastic against Guardians, by the way. They do so much damage, air to air. And so they really make up for their lack of ground attacking ability. It's kind of like a Wraith, right? They just really don't deal that much damage unless you have a lot of them. Unless you're dealing with something in the air like a Guardian or an Overlord or something like that. And so Snow pushes those back. He's gotten rid of all the Guardians. He's got the 4th base online. He's got mining going steadily now, and Soma's running out of options. He's got good upgrades. He just does not have the production or the income.
Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate. Like, there is a way of Soma winning this game had he gotten that 4th base up a little bit sooner, transition into Defilers, start plaguing and using Dark Swarms to nullify the Archons a little bit and Dragoons completely. There are options to Soma. He's kind of defending by attacking right now, just trying to, you know, do little cheap counterattacks over and over again. He's actually going to kill the gas here at the 4th base. That's a little bit annoying to siphon off how many Templars and Dragoons can be made by Snow in this present moment. He's actually expanded to the 9 o'clock base as a 4th, and now is taking his natural 3rd as his 5th. Very unorthodox game that we're having here today. I just don't know how Soma's going to keep this 9 o'clock base alive. I imagine Snow is going to kill him real soon. He's trying to go into Ultras. He's got so much gas.
1,600 gas.
But is he going to have enough time to get the Ultras? I don't think so. He's going to start losing bases to Snow. It's a really funny, nice idea from Soma. I just don't think it's gonna pay off.
No, it's not gonna pay off, and GG is called. Snow overcomes the curse here and beats Soma in the KCM. What a game. What a crazy one from Soma. Pretty cool, innovative ideas from him, but eventually falls under the strong defenses of Snow. All right, we're here on match point. Could be the final match of the night, so shout out to everybody on Patreon. Those of you who support us at Sanshin Duocast on Patreon, we salute you. Thank you, brothers, for all your help and support over the last seasons, and here's to many more in 2026. We got Rush spawning here in the top right-hand corner. Snow down in the bottom left. Rush probably praying that Soma was able to take out Snow there, although both options are not that great, right? Like, you either have to face against Soma or you have to face against Snow. I wonder who he prefers. Probably Soma, because Snow is just that difficult to deal with as a Protoss player.
I would say so. I would say most Terran players would say Soma over Snow, just because it's, you know, a little bit of an easier matchup for them. And Snow is just like an absolute specialist in PvT, specifically with that Reaver control. So yeah, I would put money on them all saying Soma over Snow.
Yeah, I'd probably like to take a shot at the champ anyway. Get some more experience against Soma before going into this next season of ASL. By the way, I've had a lot of people ask me, when's the next ASL coming? It's generally in April, guys. It's not for a little while yet. March, April.
Yeah, the very end of March. Yeah.
Yeah, be going through the preliminaries and all that, and then we'll be getting into the fresh, brand new season. But there's already been maps that have come out. Just the preliminary maps. They're gonna let the players sit with them and practice them a little bit here before, you know, confirming which maps are going to be in the new ASL. But they released the preliminary maps, and so you guys can go check them out. Just search up the ASL preliminary maps for season 2022, and you should be able to find them no problem. I think this map's still in the pool. Knockout and this map still going to be in the pool. And they're actually bringing back Neil Sylphid as one of the big news things. I mean, that map's been around for so long, man. It's been in the pool so many times. It's kind of funny to see it coming back around again.
It has been around for a long time. I guess it is technically one of the most balanced three-player maps that we've had in a long time. So I don't hate it being back. It is pretty old though, but I'm also happy that, you know, we got Polestar and Knockout still in there. I think they're very good macro maps, and there's not too much asymmetry for the balance as well. I think that there's something to offer all of the matchups for these Knockout and Polestar, so I'm quite happy about that.
Yeah, there's some really interesting maps in there too. I'll probably do a video on that maybe later this week or this weekend. Just going through them all. There's even a map with a Marine and a medic on the ramp going into your main. It was just pretty hilarious, but that's neither here nor there. We're getting into this game now, and Russia's been able to get away with the gasless fast expand, bunker expand here. He's got his CC on the finished up before the Nexus, and he's now getting into double factory afterwards. Not really a lot of pressure here from Snow, so Rush feeling pretty comfortable. Playing his own game. He's not really been pressured here by Snow because of the cross map.
Yeah, cross map does kind of dictate the pace of the game a little bit here for both sides. Snow getting a very quick third Nexus though, even before the 5-minute mark. Really trying to see if he can get away with a little bit of greed. He's probably feeling confident he can do so with that cross spawn, and denying the scout by killing it at the 6 o'clock also going to make it tough for Rush to identify and find a way of even potentially punishing this. And he's going to be paying a bit of a tax bill from that bunker being shelled by the phase disruption shots of those Dragoons to boot. So yeah, this is a pretty understandable response from Snow. Like, he's, you know, trying to negate the early economic advantage of Rush here with his own greed, and he knows he can probably get away with it.
Yeah, it's hard for Rush to figure out that this is happening. If he knew for a fact, it would be 4 factory and an immediate attack. And look, lo and behold, it kind of looks like that's what he's planning to do. He's might be just going straight for factory pressure, and it's really hard to hold with a setup like this from Snow. He's gone so quickly into this extra Nexus that his gateways are going to be a little bit behind the curve, and of course his robo and everything else is going to be a little bit slow. And it definitely opens up a route in for Rush. Let's see if he can make this work.
Yeah, I think it's a possibility, man. And, you know, he's using the most efficient tactics available to him. He knows that it's a strong likelihood that Snow is doing something like this. It's a pretty common response to Terrans taking their own greed. You kind of respond in kind. You could do like a proxy Robo and slug a Reaver to break the bunker, or, you know, similar to what we saw on Dominator, where it's just a proxy Robo to get the Reaver into the main base quicker and things like that. There are other options to be aggressive to punish this, but it is more common that you see a fast third Nexus as a response to this. Rush knows it. He's doing a very fast 5-tank push with a lot of factories to back this up to see if he can run it down. It is cross-map though, so he needs to be a little bit more careful about how he navigates across the map. Does also take him a few extra seconds to get down here and punish Snow, so maybe Snow can still hang on.
No, gonna run forward. Guns down one tank right off the bat. No pull from Rush. He was trying to get these vultures into position and trying to target fire as well. Gonna target fire one of these Dragoons down at the front. Nicely done there. eBay is finished, and so he'll be able to make some turrets on this front line as he pushes forward. Mine almost getting some damage there on Snow. This flank of Dragoons is not really getting much done as more vultures come across the map. He's going to be able to run forward here, throw down mines in the face of Snow, and dude, Snow's having such a hard time, but he's going to pull the Dragoon into the mine. Beautifully done there. Flank with the Dragoons is absolutely eviscerating this push as well. Dude, that move, that one move with the Dragoon, dragging that mine in, absolutely make Lynch this.
That's absolutely insane. And he's still not out of the woods yet, but it's looking good. Another mine drag finishes up the last remaining tank, and he finishes his pylon wall to shut the vultures out from any compensation. Snow just sees the matrix in this matchup, man. It's so mind-blowingly insane what he's able to do, and he makes it look so easy, but it's like watching a jazz musician. It's not easy. He's just that good that he can make it look smooth.
Yeah, this is next level from Snow for sure. Once again proving that mines are absolutely the best Protoss unit, using them to full effect against Rush's attack there. Rush just wasn't able to get mines in the attack path of those flanking Dragoons either. They were able to clear and move forward quickly enough to get that flank going, and Rush just doesn't have a backup plan. He's just sending more tanks and trying to do this again, and it's going to be harder to pull off here the second time as Snow's had more time to add more gateways and just keep pumping more Dragoons, and the tank number is lower. There's a shuttle out now as well. Things are not going correctly here for Rush, but he's going to give it his all and try to bust this third base. Now he's in a good position to where it'll be hard to dislodge, but not impossible by any means. Nothing impossible with Snow's Reavers.
Yeah, it's not a bad pocket that he's entrenched himself in towards this third base location, but Snow's expanding towards the 6 o'clock. He knows there's a chance he'll take critical damage here, and he's a way of dealing with that. And even if somehow Rush does kill this base, it's not technically over for Snow. It is a good pickup for Rush to kill this, but it's not going to be enough to get a win condition. He kills 3 vultures with 1 Scarab, man. Just really trying to diminish the chances of Rush getting the value trades. Drops the Zealot to draw the fire so we can get another Scarab. Another pair of vultures biting the Dust Dragoons now, surging forwards against the firing positions. A few flanking Dragoons from behind, collapsing and pincering this Terran position, and he mops it up with such finesse and efficiency that there's just almost no hope in the game now for Rush. He has to keep running it down with a train of units. He's got vultures moving out now, but a pylon wall comes out to that 6 o'clock position. There's just almost nothing in it for Rush going forward. This is kind of a fantastic play from Snow overall.
He really does make it so smooth. You can see like all the forces, the Protoss forces getting into position, and like a symphony moving in as all that Reaver damage was going down. at the same time. Beautiful play from Snow, and Rush is completely in shambles here. He's placed together another army. He's put together another army to try and maybe do something, but expanding is the last thing on his mind, and trying to play a long game against Snow is just not going to be tenable for him.
Yeah, it's a symphony for Snow, but a bittersweet symphony for Rush Troop, and he's now on the verge of losing if he can't find some damage with this next wave of an assault, attacking from the vertical axis on the left-hand side, hoping to catch a small pocket of Dragoons out of position and lay down mines behind them and trap them for the tanks to clean up. Snow, though, collapsing on this force with the remainder of his forces. 2 Reavers getting quickly taken out, but there's so many Dragoons in the backline for Snow. He's going to easily crush this attack once again, and Rush has almost no chance of winning from this position. He's kind of reliant on Snow making pretty big blunders from this point onwards. There's no third base in Snipe for Rush. There's no transition. Snow's set up with 4 bases, and getting a 5th is absolutely insane. He's just going to tap out. GG is called, and Protoss with a very convincing 3 points on the board to start the season off, Sam.
And here we are again at the beginning of another beautiful season of KCM, this time with Protoss starting off strong and Zerg with 0 points on the board. Didn't see that coming with Soma in the lineup. You'd think these guys would have been able to at least take that second place spot, but Royal showed up big, and Snow managed to win that critical match versus Soma. So we're going to start off with a bit of a Protoss lead here. But of course, this is going to be a long season, another 8 weeks, guys. And then the semifinals and finals will be coming after that. It's such a great format, Sean. I really enjoy the way that this plays out over these weeks. It's just, we get to see so much great StarCraft. We get to see so many awesome matchups, and these players get to work together in a format that they don't usually get to experience.
Yeah, and gone are the days where we had a few KCM seasons a couple of years back where they were flatlining a lot and just kind of holding out for the semifinals match, and was a little bit lackluster. And it seems like Protoss are definitely in form recently. I'm sure a lot of you fans out there finally doing mental backflips and cheering on your favorite players, as there seems to be a resurgence in that race and squad in particular going forward, and maybe giving, you know, Zergs and Terrans a little bit more of the run for their money going forward. Obviously anything can change in those next 7 weeks, like San was saying, though. I hope they do maintain pretty strong trajectory going forward, though it's always exciting to keep it mixed up, but you don't really know what's going to happen in KCM. We do tend to have some rather explosive action and unpredictable situations where players you probably wouldn't expect to carry suddenly start winning multiple games in a row and things like that. I'm sure we're going to have a very fun season to look forward to, and I'm happy that we get to bring you this KCM action again.
A strong Protoss season in KCM gives us a lot of hope for this season of ASL as well, but it is a totally different beast in the offline space. Playing ASL on stage is just a different animal, and players react to it differently. And so I'm very excited to be joining you guys again for another ASL season. We're very hopeful that we'll be able to do that again this year. But that's it for this week of KCM, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.